Welcome everyone to Total Nonstop Impact Talk for Impact fans, right here on the YouTube, on the Twitch, and wherever you get your podcasts worldwide. Joining me tonight, Alisha. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. East Coast speed run.
That is East Coast, and not only an East Coast speed run, we're about to see each other
on Saturday. I'm
night.
not going Friday, but I'll see you guys Saturday.
Yes. So the Philadelphia tapings, TNI crew representing hard on the East Coast. Always great to see.
I'm excited to be going back to the 2300 arena.
It's been a while. Even for me, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Been any wrestling shows in quite some time there. So definitely looking forward to it. It is my home away from home, if you will. So can't wait for tomorrow and then following up on Saturday. And there are some matches announced. So we'll go over them for anybody locally, because we do know there are some fellow Northeasters in the TNI fam that may be traveling to the shows. But obviously our Bone Man in Chief, not here tonight. A well-deserved night off for J-Bone. So obviously there was no live reaction tonight, but there is the review. So we appreciate everyone sticking around. Almost old TNI time, because it's actually been earlier lately, which is not a bad thing. I'm in favor of that. But as it gets into the summer here, life's getting a little more hectic for me, so I had to do it a little later. But appreciate everyone and Alisha here waiting as long with everyone else. So, but no, we'll get into it. Obviously, no J-Bones news tonight, but I'll start with some news I saw earlier today. I do want to hit some news because it's a friend of the show. Mean Gia Miller, announced she is signed for 3 more years.
Oh, yeah.
So congrats to Scoops, as Shal named on this show.
Splendid.
So very good to see that. It'll be interesting to see, do we see Gia in that continued role of backstage reporter, interviewer, and color commentator on Explosion, or possibly additional roles going forward? Because we know she's like a valet for the ABC in like Revolver. She does do wrestling on the indies. So could this change? Could she become even more of a knockout in ring? Who knows? And yes, there is another signing, Coach Keith, and thank you again to all of our members on the YouTube. If you want, you can join and become a member and stick out like Coach Keith here. But Sinner and Saints also signed, who you've seen lately in the tag division on both Explosion and Impact, a Canadian tag team. But I noticed them at the last of the tapings, and when you start making different loops, different towns, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
So you could tell they want them. But then you just never know. But they did sign. So once again, and we won't. There were some dirt sheet reports over this week, and anyone on the Discord, link below, you'll notice that I just like every couple of days just get fed up on dirt sheets and will air my grievances there because I just don't get half the news they report. Because it's like obvious. It's like, oh, they didn't announce Bound for Glory location, which at one point their social said they would last Thursday at some point. They didn't say it would be on the show, but sometime on the 20th. Didn't happen. So the news was, this was a lead article. The update, it will be announced soon. What? What's that mean? Soon?
To be announced.
It's been a couple months. So what? Soon could be today, tomorrow, a week, 2 weeks.
Soon-ish. Throw an ish at it. It's open-ended, so you know.
Can't be
remains to be seen.
The dirt sheets. Don't give those guys any clicks. Come on now, do better. All right, that's enough of that. But yeah, congrats to Sinners and Saints as well, and let us know what you think. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of them yet. But I've been impressed so far. It kind of reminds me of like when we first saw like Jason Hotch after the where he was one of the co-winners of the gut check. So definitely cool to see them sticking around and helping with the tag division, which I know we talk about at times needing a little bit of a jolt. What happened to Hammerstone? I know that's a question we've seen a lot lately, because we know he was I can personally vouch. I saw him in where was it? What the first loop he missed, which I guess was Albany. I guess was it Albany?
Wow.
So since Albany, like he was there, but like just was not cleared. He's been doing some indies since then, but then, and I know Cordy's putting on there. Like I think you will see him return soon, but right now he like a number of other talents for TNA that will not be in Philly this weekend because they're on an Australia tour that was booked well ahead of time.
Yeah.
So there just wasn't. My guess is you'll see him back at Slammiversary. Kind of just to start up again because there really wasn't anything to do to kind of ramp him up storyline wise. So it makes sense, but I think we'll see Hammerstone and I think we'll see that big push. Obviously, just that's what happens. Injuries, illnesses, they happen. So then you got to go. Other news real quick. I know it was officially over 2,500 tickets sold for Slammiversary in Montreal. And yeah, Antonio, it might hit 3,500 because, hey, we still got some time. We got some more matches announced now, officially, because we only had. Did we have any matches sold? They're all starting to appear. Like we don't know all the members of the main event yet. We have a couple more of the 6-way world title match, but we have the Knockouts world title match officially. Jordan Grace versus Ash by Elegance. And we have the X Division title match, which will obviously be Mustafa Ali against good local kid, Speedball Mike Bailey. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, and just a shout out here to the good doctor, Dr. Gerbs. Can't wait to see what match will happen Saturday. And just for those that you don't know, the plan was actually to have the good doctor join us tonight. But because of J-Bone not taking the night off and me being on later, unknown time, we couldn't get it all situated. So hoping to have Dr. Gerbs in maybe next week, but definitely in the near future to go over some stuff. And looking forward to seeing you as well in Philly on Saturday. We'll get the group picture. Penzer, if you can get on a flight, you can be in this group picture. If you're out there. I know Alisha, Aaron Jack, I know she has maybe a different opinion on this. I believe the term might be with the real fans, right, Alisha?
Yeah, my motto is everybody who knows that the real party is in general admission, and that's where you're going to find me.
Nothing wrong with that. So somewhere undetermined location for Alisha in the, but she will be.
I'm like the Where's Waldo at a wrestling show. Like you probably even walk right past me and not even realize because I just. I'm a comedian like that.
People blend. Like I know, like I've been in places, and then people all of a sudden say my name or tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Hey." Like, sometimes I get
for the serotonin.
Yes, listen for serotonin because it still can be said. Because the king,
only if Kaz is there,
will be there. The king will be there, so you will hear serotonin. I will echo it.
If Kaz isn't there, though, yes, we got to get that going. But if he isn't there, hypothetically, then I'm all out of catchphrases. So you're not. I'm all out of catchphrases. So you're not going to find anything else, I guess, to hear me on. So
yeah, I know it wasn't. It's not TNA news, but I know there is a lot of talk, and I see in the chat about Donovan Dijak being a free agent. I know his contract expires. I don't know if that means he's available or like because of where he was. What is there still a non-compete at all? But I know I saw Dijak a bunch in the past because he was very Northeast focused on his indie career. Did you ever see Dijak on the indies, Alisha?
I did not.
Okay, because I
do
he was
know
like
who
in
he is,
Northeast
though, so.
Wrestling and Evolve, like stuff like that, which played a lot up and down kind of the coast, like Maryland, PA.
He played
Jersey.
all the places I didn't go to.
Pretty much.
Preferably.
Well, you never know. He was showing up.
Yeah. And he might have. There's a couple of shows.
Tall guy.
I don't remember.
Yeah, and a lot of Ring of Honor in Philly. If you went to Ring of Honor in Philly,
I didn't.
He had a run there. So that's where I saw him a bunch. But we'll see. If there is many spoilers, because one difference is obviously there's no live show this weekend with the Philly shows. So it is all that lead in to Slammiversary. Including the Go Home show. You'll be there for the Go Home show, Alisha. So
yes,
we will see how it all sets up. We'll know, and then we won't tell anybody, which is half the fun. But announced speaking of the taping still, for tomorrow, announced is the in-ring return of Queen Rebecca, along with Matt Hardy, going against Eddie Edwards and Lish.
Oh boy.
So that'll be a fun little mixed tag match tomorrow. But then Eddie Edwards is not done tagging, and neither is Matt Hardy. Because on Saturday, when you were there, Dr. Gerbs is there, it will be the TNA return or actually debut, really, because it was Impact then, but TNA of the Hardy Boys going against Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers. Not announced if for titles or not. So maybe it's a proving match to get to Slammiversary. But it would make you think they're definitely now in play for a title shot at Slammiversary, if it's not for the titles. But I have not seen that announced at this point. So very interesting to see where they're going with that. So let us know. Let us know what you think about that. But
that's gonna be cool. Last time I saw the Hardy Boys in TNA, or were they even together? Probably not, because they did solo runs when they were each there, right? Until later on, when the Broken Hardy kind of thing happened.
Yeah, the Broken Hardys is really where they came together. Look, Dr. Gerbs.
Yeah, it was at the Bethlehem Sands. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that it was like 2014 at the Bethlehem Sands. Yeah, great venue. That was a fun show.
That's what you still had. Yeah, you had the Team 3D still, and you had the Wolves, early Wolves. Well, a little later they had the Wolves, but they had some good tag matches there too. So that's most of the news. If anybody wants to jump out, I'm not getting too heavy into additional news. But if anybody else wants to bring up anything that popped up in the last week, let us know. Didn't have a ton of time to look in any other ones, but that's the main ones that kind of jumped out at me. But obviously, as we go on, feel free to drop it in the chat and we can discuss as needed. But let's get into the June 27th edition of TNA Impact on Access TV and now TNA Plus, as well as still on the YouTube. And co-streaming on the Twitch with some influencers. Not us. Not that I'm saying anything, but I'm saying something because we're OG, but just okay. Okay reactors, but that's okay. So let's continue. So we get we start out actually with Gia Miller interviewing Jordan Grace about the title match with Ash by Elegance. Now, what would you think about this? And what are you thinking about this match? Because I know I mentioned it during the news, but Ash by Elegance, we've seen like kind of the slow burn with Ash, and people weren't sure, is it going to lead to a Jordan match? Like, I think there was always the thought, like, this could be that Slammiversary match months ago. But then people always like, oh, maybe it's going to be Natty, another NXT person. But it is Ash. Thoughts, Alisha?
I know that they were going to eventually build to this. I would have just liked to have seen Ash wrestle more people on the roster instead of just like one-offs before it happened. But you know what? It was going to lead to this way no matter which direction they went with it. And it should be exciting. I expect a lot of shenanigans to occur.
Yeah, I am surprised, because I'll say this, because we saw the tease, because obviously she took out Havoc. And we saw the tease with Rosemary with the knife and everything, with the dagger. Could there be a cinematic match that happens on TV before Slammiversary? I think yes. Because we know Ash is in Australia. I can't imagine there's going to be no Ash for a month of TV. So that would be a good way to get her on. Maybe it's something they already taped, obviously, before she left.
Wouldn't that explain why she's in the Bahamas?
Could. Just to get away.
The Bahamas.
The Bahamas, the old Bahamas.
Quote unquote.
So, yeah, they kind of wrote her off for a bit.
Yeah.
But it is interesting leading into a huge pay-per-view. So maybe that's where she'll go. She'll just show up, Rosemary, to attack her. So, but yeah, that's we have it set up. The match is there, so we'll stay tuned. Let us know in your thoughts, though, what you think about it. And just for Mayor, I will because there is a connection here. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers for winning the Stanley Cup. But during that game, what got airtime? A sign for one of the players that was doing the Joe Hendry, because his name kind of sounded like Hendry, like it kind of sounded like it.
What,
so he had
I believe.
Yeah, it was like kind of like the same face and stuff, like, but just on repeat. So once again, it's the Joe Hendry stuff. It's going to be interesting to see the reaction in Philly, because it's so over. It's so over right now. Every wrestling company is getting Joe Hendry chance. But it's beyond wrestling companies.
It's viral. No, it's viral on TikTok. So
remember we said it was viral on TikTok like 2 months ago? Yeah. But it was just starting there. Now it's really viral on TikTok.
It got rickrolled.
Never gonna give you.
Yeah, What I'm saying is that by being viral on TikTok, I mean, it's a trend now. So what you have is people finding the sound clip and making videos
to it,
matching to it. So you have people from all different. It's not even just wrestling; it's all over the grid. So
once you have that, that's the key.
Yeah, that's.
Go on all those TikTok shorts, and even like in the YouTubes and everywhere else where there's Instagram short videos and all. Once you hear that, you hear the same like 3 songs for all that stuff. So once that's honestly, that's what all the like the popular stuff. It's like the same music. So like it was the Beyonce song like a month ago or 2 months ago, and then it was something else, and it's always something. So yeah, say his name.
Yeah. It's his name. Anyway,
it's like a horror movie, though. It's like a horror movie. Say his name, but yet it's not.
I will say, returning back to this start of the show with Jordan and Ash coming out and stuff. I could have watched Jordan Grace clothesline everybody the entire show, and I would have been pretty content with that.
You know what?
I just see her like mowing heads off, like.
Because seeing her just like manhandle people is part of the allure.
I had to clutch my imaginary pearls, like, oh girl, look at you. That's great.
That's the thing. That's why Jordan though is so mainstream as well. Like I think we talked about this maybe last week or the week before, but is there a wrestling company that has 2 more mainstream appeal people on their roster right now than TNA with Joe Hendry and Jordan Grace? Like it's like they're going mainstream with these two, which is,
I will say Rhea Ripley is kind of on that viral
no doubt
aspect of
like,
it.
honestly, though, the only people that
her.
are WWE people, and there's only a couple of them that even can get into that range. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
No, I'm saying there's other people who, like, you know what I mean? They somehow randomly stumble across and they're like, who is this? What is this? And
this
suddenly
is
they're like diving down the rabbit hole that is wrestling.
And that's what you want. That's what you want. Like,
that's how you
that's
catch
what gets people interested. Because honestly, I won't name names. I've been at wrestling shows, other wrestling promotions, and you might go, maybe they're all right. There's something with that person. That one's a little interesting, but then it's like, what? Huh? Like, and people maybe even have it, but they can't show it. And we've seen that before. There's people that don't get the almost the road to show what they can do. And they might have that ability, but you'll never see it because their growth is stunted. And the thing here now with obviously TNA and now allowing some of these people to show up other places, they're getting that long runway right now to really show what they can do. And it's great. Now I do see here, and we did not mention it, but definitely rest in peace to Sika of the Wild Samoans. I did not meet, but I have seen Sika over the years at different events. Obviously, where both Alisha and I am, they had the Samoan Wrestling School was in Allentown for many years. So there was a big influence in this area with indies and just wrestling shows in general. But I know obviously I had moved to Florida over the last so many years. But definitely, yeah, that's definitely is how. And I know Alpha Jr. Was running the promotion because still up in this area over these last handful of years. And I know there was a lot back and forth because he was in poor health these especially this last year or two. But here, let's get to, well, after that opening segment, we have some knockouts action.
It just kind of intercepted into each other. I kind of dug that.
Yes, and I did like that because what was it? It's a while back, but what was it? Maybe during the Josh Alexander, like it was like during his title run, where there was doing a lot of this bumping on the entrance as people were coming and going, which I like that. I like that occasionally, like what are you doing? Like kind of give them a look, kind of maybe that's a future storyline.
Yeah,
just putting it out there for you, a little tease.
Yeah, you're right. I appreciate that. It's those little details.
Don't overdo it. Like you don't want people bumping in on there like every show.
Yeah,
but if you do that every 6 months, that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
But we get Masha, who's obviously half of the Knockouts Tag Champs, with
accompanied by Lish. I was actually surprised by this, and now they seem
were kind
to
of
be
separating. Now they're more of a team. They got a name.
They're on the same page after their big win, so that's good. They got a name?
Oh, you haven't heard the name?
No, I haven't heard the name.
The Militia.
The Militia. Wow.
You need a shirt if they got it.
That's
but then that's
dope.
one of those things. You get the shirt, it'll be gone. That kills the team.
I'm a little blown away by that. That's actually really good.
It's so obvious, but yet it works.
Yeah, dude, it's actually perfect.
The Militia. I'm
tickled. Like this is amazing.
Well, all the Lish rub, I think you're looking at probably the two biggest Lish supporters of the TNI show.
We ride hard for Lish.
We do. Well, like we're ride or die with Lish.
She can do no wrong.
Yeah, she's been here so long in a variety of roles. But ever since like she became like that valet manager, but the evil hardcore interfering for every finish, that's just what made it. And then with obviously the system, the biggest stable in the company in a long time right now. And she's a huge part of it. But now she finally got a title. She finally got a title, and she's working with Masha, like Masha the badass, who's not in the group. Maybe similar to Dango right now.
It's what would that be, like a volunteer?
Volunteer. She's just like hired muscle. She's just like you're not part of the family.
Yeah. They gotta change that. Imagine what kind of that would be, like a powerful front in Impact, like a threatening force on all divisions to have that kind of lineup.
Mm-hmm. And that's a way you do it too. Like you just don't bring everybody into the group. Like it isn't the NWO. Everyone's a member. No. You got to work your way in.
NWO member number 5,436,000. Yeah, we should do that.
But so we got Masha coming out with Lish, going up against Xia Brookside, which is kudos to Xia and her designer, because I got this. This was her her indie shirt, and yet she got the same thing. Now shop the TNA merch.com is now, this is an official TNA shirt now. So kudos to her for getting like her own design produced by the company. So I got to look. I'm sure there's probably some new merch, maybe some new merch I'll see in Philly. But kudos to Xia for getting a shirt made. But so we got Masha versus Xia. What'd you think of this match?
So it's a good match. Again, we're trying to show Masha and Alisha on the same page. The militia on the same page.
That's right.
It's great. So for this match, it just makes sense that Xia got the downswing of the hand for the 1, 2, 3 count. Only because with Alisha interfering, and that's what she does best. Again, as you were talking about before, one of the things we're big on Alisha is her having that big Boston energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so she played a part in
interfering. She's swinging. Masha, it doesn't matter who you are. You like, if you're against her or like someone who like she's rocking with, like,
and I think this helps show like. A lot of people are like, oh, Masha's doing all the heavy lifting in this tag team.
No.
Alisha's playing her part.
Yeah, she's doing it.
Like, maybe Masha is the workhorse of the team, but at the key moment, who's doing something to help win the match? It's Lish. Because there's no militia without Lisha. Make it right. All right.
Yes.
So, congrats.
It's good.
Good start. And now here's the thing. Do you think, like, and we'll get an idea, but before that happens, where do you see the Knockouts tag titles going? Maybe towards Slammiversary. Do you think Xia and maybe somebody? Do you see another team?
Well,
something to ponder.
Who are our teams currently?
That's the thing. Who are the teams? Or do we go with your favorite, Platypus?
I see.
Platypie.
So we got to look at our options here, right? So we got Danny and Jody getting, like they seem to be really headstrong on like what's going on with them and getting on the same page and having guidance from the guy. From the band,
Lars from Rancid.
Thank you.
I'm I'm going to see Rancid. They're playing Citizens Bank Park with Green Day and the owner of the NWA, Billy Corgan, and Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's going to be fun. Fun summer jam concert. A little nostalgic. Yeah, so I'm saying, like, they seem to be emphasizing on that storyline particularly, so maybe they're going to get another go at it.
Mm-hmm.
And who are our other options? Like, obviously Rosemary and Havoc are on hiatus as far as a team goes. Unknown
Parts
status.
Unknown. Whereabouts unknown. Yeah,
I'm great, Freddie.
Killer Kelly's
That's
still
not good.
Like Killer Kelly, the former tag partner, does make sense at some point when she does return, because she would have an issue.
That could be a potential reason why Militia breaks up.
That does feel like the eventual
old alliances, or you add them all three together. And call them MK Ultra Alisha.
There you go. Just keep having fun with names.
It's a play on words, and words are fun. So let's roll with it. MK Ultra Alisha.
Now we'll get more than the knockouts in a moment, but we have a segment before that, and it's Team First Class. So it's AJ Francis, the digital media champ, Rich Swann, and DJ Woo Kid back. AJ brings out another belt, the International Heavyweight Championship, held by the likes of Dino Bravo and the Sheik, and declared himself the new International Heavyweight Champion. Interesting.
So is that like a legit thing, or is Santino going to be like, "Hey, no, that's not real"? Like, or
good
do
question.
We have another?
Is this like a real world champion? Is this just a prop he's going to be kind of going around with, or is this going to be recognized in some way?
Are we adding another belt to the lineup? I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
Great question. Are we adding another belt to the lineup? And once again, in the chat, if you're seeing this later, do you think TNA should have another belt, another singles belt?
Yes.
Obviously, you have the world title,
yes,
the X Division title, the digital media title, and then obviously the Knockouts world title separately. So should there be another singles belt? And then obviously the two sets of tag champions for the men and the women. So should there be another belt? It becomes a gray area with me, because I think you can get too many titles. That becomes something, because then that's all you're really doing on TV is going back and forth on belts. And I don't think every storyline needs to be about belts. But I don't know. I'm intrigued by it. I don't think necessarily it's right or wrong. If they do it right, because once again, you're still talking one TV show a week that's 2 hours and Explosion. That's not a ton of TV time to give a lot of time to a lot of belts, but I could be open to it, depend how it's used, especially if you have some of these belts traveling. Like AJ's been everywhere with that belt on his shoulder, like doing promotion, and he's up on like NFL shows with the TNA digital media. Promote the hell out of that. Go on indies, bring that belt with you. Hell, bring it to MLW with you because he's showing up there. Go to other promotions with it. That's awesome. And if you're doing that, it doesn't need to be maybe on TNA television as much, so you have room for other titles. But you got to be careful with it. Okay, Swag fan here. If this is legit, I think they should have brought it in better than AJ buying it and claiming it. Just my opinion. Not a bad idea, although we've seen it before, like $1 Million Man type stuff back in the day. It doesn't matter sometimes how it's brought in, as long as you execute it well. Bonus baby, I wouldn't mind another belt, but definitely need to be a mid-card knockout style. Not a bad idea if you're going to go in a direction, because you have tag belts you have one singles belt. That's it. So maybe a second belt for individual knockouts. Not a bad idea.
Ooh.
Antonio, they need an upper mid-card title. That's a missing piece.
Yeah.
Once again. Okay. And it depends how you want to treat the X title. Sometimes it's been used that way, but sometimes it's not. A lot of times it's not. But sometimes it is. Like when it's option C type belt, it's used that way. But that's about it. Because then that's the number one contender. De facto.
I would like to see another belt added in the sense that the X Division belt could kind of return to what its original purpose was for, is to be a more daring belt to get. You know what I mean?
Cruiserweight, light heavyweight.
Right.
Okay. Still no limits. But no, I'm with you, because if you want that to be more of who's going for it, because it does for the most part, 90% of the time, that's the type of wrestler going for that belt. So it doesn't make it that true number one contender, when this belt that AJ introduced would be that. Because I don't think in anyone's mind right now, that's what the digital media title is. At one point, they tried to do that when it was the Grand Championship and some other iterations. And not Antonio, DMC title needs to be on Explosion. There probably should be, like I said, I think that should be like your digital, like your online, but also Explosion. But I think that my thing would be right now, and it's a bigger thing. I'm fine with having another belt, but optimally, I'd like one more hour of TV to make that happen. And that could be a variety of things. Like, I don't think it's making the show 3 hours. That I don't think. 2 hours, perfect amount of time. I think Explosion, and they've been having 2 matches. That's perfect. I think that's what it should be. But a return of maybe BTI, a knockouts only show would be a nice 1 hour show. I think one more show would be optimal to just get, and maybe it could be just matches. Like it could be, and that's where like you have something like the DMC, and maybe it could be from promotions, like get Revolver in there, get some other promotions in there, and you fill up an hour, highlighted by maybe a DMC title match from TNA. But something to utilize the roster more. Because like I said, if it becomes something where every match is about a title, and not that there's anything wrong with it, you become very like New Japan or AEW, which like they don't really have many storylines other than titles storylines, and then you become backburnered. Bonus baby, WCW did a fantastic job of using titles to step people up from cruiserweight to television to United States to world titles, so it can be done. But they had more TV time. And I think that's great. That's optimal. That's what you want to do, 100%, if you have the TV time to do it.
What was WCW's running time? 3 hours?
Well, they had at the time, I want to say they had Nitro, but they had Thunder. Didn't they still have Saturday morning too?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, the numerous shows during the week.
Like it's just numerous shows during the week. Like, that's the thing. And I'm not even a big fan. I'm not a proponent of 3 hour wrestling, except for like a pay-per-view.
A lot of people want the mid-card.
But yeah. I think I want a mid-card title. I just worry that there's not enough TV time for it. But if you can make it happen, make it happen.
A lot of people wanting that mid-card knockouts title.
No, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the knockouts get more. Like, so maybe I'm even more in favor of that, because I think a knockout show would do great. And I feel like they've thought about that in the past, having like a separate knockout show. Because I think that would be fantastic.
I agree with that. Absolutely. But not
keeping them off the other one, just having like
right
for like tag teams, up and comers, stuff like that.
It'd be interesting. Maybe a once a year one-off, or not a one-off, a once a year kind of thing. Bring in people, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, okay. So we'll get back to it. But back to the knockouts, because we do get Spitfire. with Lars, where he tells them that they could challenge for the Knockouts tag titles, but they need to face each other first. Very similar to what happened with ABC not long ago. Kind of like they're having some issues.
Yeah.
They got to get right by fighting each other. And that worked out for ABC.
It's very punk.
It's very punk.
It's very punk.
Not the punk that has issues. Very real punk.
Oh my God. So yeah, and like we were talking about before, they seem to be really highlighting this group to get another run at the tag team titles. So we shall see if all their efforts are successful.
Okay, so yeah, so what do you guys think? Do you think the match? Are you with Lars on this? They face each other, work out what they need to, get that title match, or could this all blow up and Spitfire collides and they cannot? This will just make them have more issues with each other this match.
I'm not opposed to friendly violence.
All right, little friendly violence never hurt
anybody.
Little
friendly violence never hurt nobody.
All right, so we go to there, and now we get Mustafa Ali with Campaign Sing. Where did the champagne go? Nobody knows.
This was good.
For the State of the Union address. Now
Ali for president. I would just start this off with Ali for president.
There you go. Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice.
He's got my vote.
But at Against All Odds, there was the video footage about him not being a fan of Chicago, even though he's from Chicago. But so that's brought up. But then a lot of Mike Bailey stuff gets brought up because the fans, they know what's going on.
Yeah,
they know Speedball after Trent's loss is going to be next in line to go after that belt. But initially, he wants no part of it. No part of it. He doesn't think he deserves it. But that's not kind of how it happens, because we wound up seeing the fans. The fans are going nuts for Bailey, including some unruly fans that had pushed me and others to the side, taking our seats like a bunch of
hooligans,
no good,
like a bunch of hooligans.
Hooligans taking over the Impact Zone. Can't have it.
No.
So I guess no more me getting hot dogs and Gatorades while things are going on. So I got to watch myself. But so they gave it to him. So they get escorted out. But Mike Bailey, the crowd's chanting for him. The fans want him. But he comes to save the day with Trent. Speedball Mountain still there. And then as he's out there, he pretty much agrees. Like he's going to give him the title shot at Slammiversary. So Montreal's favorite son, not including PCO, who's their favorite Frankenstein. He's getting the shot, the X title match. The one, I think we all kind of saw it in the stars to line up. What are your thoughts now that it's official? Speedball, Ali, X title, Montreal, Slammiversary. Does the streak end?
I don't know. I don't know about that, but I have a definitely honest, positive feeling that it is going to be a match of the night.
Could be.
It's going to be a running contender for that.
It's Montreal. Got to get a screw job in Montreal.
Both are extraordinary talents, so I imagine he's going to work that to his favorite.
Now, are you saying?
Because I like scumbags.
It's a scumbag.
A little scumbaggery never hurt nobody.
A little scumbaggery. A little scumbaggery.
A little scumbaggery never hurt
Speaking
nobody.
of scumbags, because Callihan, not here. Maybe he'll show up. You never know. As I roll my eyes on a podcast. But just a shout out to Kyle if he's listening anywhere. Because I know a movie a movie franchise he likes, which, Alisha, I'm guessing, I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen either of the Terrifier movies?
Oh, God.
I know he's a huge fan. And I have seen both of them.
I love horror, but I have a limit.
I know you're a horror fan, but it's a subgenre of horror.
It is a very particular subgenre of horror that I particularly am not a fan of, because
that's my fault. I think
there comes a point where it's like, how much is too much?
That's gore for.
I like more. Yeah. Like, for me personally, like what you like. I'm not trying to no judgment, obviously, but I like a more psychological horror, mind fuckery, as opposed to body gore and all that kind of stuff.
That is my preference as well. But see, I look at that it's so over the top. It's like almost spaghetti horror, because it's so over
camp
the top.
Horror, it's campy. Yeah. It's like horror of John Waters.
But the reason I bring it up is because it's the return of VHS. They released Terrifier 2 on VHS at Walmart. So if you go to Walmart, you can buy a VHS again. Is it the trend? Is it coming back like vinyl? Vinyl?
I'll believe it if I can play any of my old VHSs on it.
Well, it's just a cassette, so you have to have a VHS player.
Yeah,
well, if you kept one. If you have an old school one.
Oh, hey, you want to buy this thing that we no longer make the equipment for?
No, yeah, you'd have to go to
I hope your parents kept one in the up in the attic, and it didn't get too warped from the extreme hot and cold of winter and summer.
All those things are tanks.
Survived 20 some odd years.
And just to let everybody know, if you're in the VHS community, the stuff that's everybody collects now and wants is horror and wrestling. So it just falls in line with the conversation. That's because no one bought those at the time. They were much rarer than Titanic. So that's why there's not many copies. But continuing on, and also TNA in the last couple of years, they released some VHSs of some of the big pay-per-views. So they were kind of fiddling around in that market.
It's a very niche market.
Very niche.
It's like vinyl being a big comeback is vinyl records and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess if it becomes a thing again.
Vinyl, it did.
Well, they made vinyl became big again, and so they started making the record players again. Mm-hmm. And more modern versions of it, yeah.
Yeah, you can find little record players all the time now. So you never know. Because everything retro becomes popular again.
Everything comes around full circle.
Yes.
Everything comes around full circle.
Just like TNA. Back again.
Just back to the show that we're supposed to be talking about.
And it's back.
TNA.
Before we leave, Mike Bailey cuts a separate promo saying that he's going to regain his X Division title at Slammiversary. But then we get a triple threat tag match here. So we get ABC with Asa and Chris Bay versus the Rascalz. And then against the team of Cody Deaner and Jake Something. Thoughts on this unique tag match? The Deaners back together.
Oh, yeah, okay. Who did they find? I'm sorry, you caught me off guard. I just got caught in the comments.
Oh, you got by Swag Fan?
Yeah, sorry, I'm dying.
Well, Swag Fan, not wrong. You may have had a small fortune on your hands, depending on what you had. Talking about getting rid of his VHS porn tapes. But once again, that's not that. Now you're talking a niche upon a niche market. But the right buyer could be out there.
Well, okay, so what were we talking about again? Sorry.
Well, speaking of Swag Fans comment, a 3-way tag match, triple threat. ABC, Rascalz. Don't call them the Deaners, Cody Deaner and Jake something. But what are your thoughts on this match? Obviously, ABC's back to their winning ways. They win this one. But it seems like the Deaners are now,
united front.
Something. They're back. They're together. They're not having issues. The Rascalz, I don't know. I think they're still feeling it after the Santana Maclin affair. They're not totally back. They might have been hanging out at the treehouse too much. They got to get back on the same page.
Yeah. Maybe they should have a match against each other.
Fight each other.
They were making fun of ABC for that, but it's like, you know what? That it really worked. Maybe you guys should that'd be a great match. It'd be sick too. Anyway, I don't know. Like, this match is just interesting that they're going this way, but I'm curious to see on what direction they plan on taking the tag with pursuing it this way. The tag division, excuse me.
Yeah, well, right now with that win, it feels like that's got to put ABC right at the forefront of a tag title match because they beat these other two teams and they're former champs that I don't think even got their rematch. So, are they playing a part in Slammiversary?
So that would have been my next question is ABC to take on whoever wins the fallout of, I believe it's Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers versus the Hardys?
That's what it would feel like. But maybe shenanigans and then it's another triple threat match at Slammiversary.
They can extend the rivalry, yeah.
Where you have ABC, the champs, and the Hardys. Because you almost got to have the Hardys.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have the Hardys, then what are we doing here?
Yeah. Because I would feel like they would keep them in that division as strong as possible with their comeback. So
yeah,
that would just make sense. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
All right. Fair enough. We get a video going over the match that will put someone in the main event, the world title main event, Sami Callihan and Steve Maclin, the road to Slammiversary qualifier, as they're calling it. And then we get the match right after. Steve Maclin, Sami Callihan, road to Slammiversary qualifier. Alisha, thoughts on this match against two former world champions?
I think these two definitely deliver a good match.
Do you agree with who won?
Why am I brain farting right now?
Steve Maclin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's curious too, because it's like both are strong competitors. Again, they always put on a good match with each other. Anyone, in my opinion, when they go up against each other, who knows? Because it could swing either way because they're that good and put on that kind of match with each other. But I think it's good for Maclin because they need to do something with Maclin. But I am also biased and believe that Sami Callihan should be skyrocketed right to the front of the line for the main belt. So, who am I to say? I'm not a reliable narrator with this.
Okay, all right. Well, no, because it is two. Like, I think you got two strong fan opinions on both sides that really want to see Maclin get that push back to the title. and some that are still thinking about years ago, once he dropped it to Tessa, and like where did like Sami didn't get his proper run. So I think there's both sides to it. I think at least currently, because you got to look at what's happened over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think Maclin does need this probably more than Sami. So I'm
Agreed.
Good with this. This is the way I would have went. I think you have to have Maclin in that title match. Because as Dr. Gerbs is saying here, because you have the Josh angle too in the match, which is just kind of sitting there. Like Sami, you could always fit in. But it feels like for this multi-man match, you got to have these inner feuds. Like you have, and so you got to have that going. Like that makes sense. Like there's a story for this big match. Sami doesn't have as much of that connection. So that's 100%. That's what I'm thinking too. But yeah, they're obviously same thing. Clay here that they also want to see Sami. You're right. Like, hey, I'll always give Sami kudos because the Tessa title win doesn't work without Sami.
Without Sami Callihan.
Like Sami made that work. Like
her entire run.
Like that build up, that 7 months going into that match was all like he was a huge part of all that. Mm-hmm. Without the right partner in that whole situation, they couldn't have pulled off that whole angle. And they did. They pulled it off pretty darn well. So kudos once again to him. So I think he can even look at that, even though maybe it wasn't the long run you wanted to see. That's historic what he did.
Yeah,
I give a lot of kudos to that because, as we know, we saw history of there were people that did not want to do business during that era of Impact. So he did, which is great. All right, so Steve Maclin obviously gets the win here. After this, we get Kushida, the time splitter, against Alan Angels, the front man. Where have you gone, Alan Angels? He's back.
He's back.
He's back. Back again. But I guess Kushida wins the match here.
Yes.
But I think the main thing is what we get after the match. And that's the return of the octopus, Jonathan Gresham, attacking
Spooky
Kushida.
Ink Man.
And Spooky Ink Man putting it in Kushida's mouth.
Did he? I know he
it looks like he tried.
He tried to, and Kushida got away because all the refs thought things through and put their masks and gloves on before they decided to come handle this. And I like to see how health concerns properly handled.
He's gone from Marty McFly to Doc Brown. Full evolution for Kushida.
Yeah. I love
He's figuring it out.
What if, so here, speaking of crazy Back to the Future theories, what if Doc is Marty?
Doc is Marty. A much older Marty.
Yeah. Nah. But what if?
So Marty went back at one point, just stayed there. He pulled like Captain America in Avengers.
Well, he's a time traveler.
Lived out his life. Yeah.
And
he found a moment, living it out.
No, every time he goes back to the future, you got to follow the timeline. Otherwise, shit gets fucked up, right? Well, what if that's it? My butterfly effect, Marty fucked something up so astronomical that day he just has to keep fucking time traveling to figure out where, like what alternative universe, all of it. Like,
I'll tell you what, though. Still,
wrong show.
The most underrated time travel movie because it's actually very well done for what it is. Bill and Ted.
I love Bill and Ted.
Like, because Bill and Ted's like goofy high school, not a stoner movie, but comes off a little like a stoner movie. Just it's like
still out wink there in the direction of.
But it's the time travel actually is very well done in what that is. The concepts.
Yeah,
they seem legitimate scientifically for more than most movies.
In my professional opinion.
Oh, Dr. Gerbs hitting me on a soft spot. Quantum Leap. Love Quantum Leap. I got all my DVDs. I got the DVD series of Quantum Leap. Dr. Sam Beckett trying to find his way home. It's great stuff. Then they remade it. I saw the first episode and I was out. I'm like, this ain't Quantum Leap.
All the remakes, they're just shallow.
They are. They're just like
wannabe versions of what they are.
They're like airbrushed versions of like something that could have been good, but it's not. Oh, yes. So crates.
Yeah, like copy and paste movies.
Love Socrates. Beethoven. Come on. Great stuff.
Those good movies.
And you have a Go-Go as Joan of Arc. Come on. That's a great movie.
Yeah, the bassist, right?
Yeah. So that's for J-Bone. Jacked Up Jukebox. All right. Now we go, after we get that, we get House Hardy calling out the system. And they challenge him to the aforementioned, we talked about in the news, mixed tag match. And then Jeff Hardy says he'll be back in action. So that all good stuff to hear. Like, so we're hearing from all the Hardys, and they're pumping up the Philly tapings, which is great. You haven't seen a lot of TV time dedicated to promote upcoming shows. This is the most we've kind of had that happen.
It's a good idea.
They should, because that's very old school wrestling. Like, hey, we're coming to this town next week, and this is going to happen there.
Right.
Not a bad thing. Like, you don't only, like, there isn't a rule now in wrestling where you only do that for pay-per-views. Like, you can do that for other shows.
Promote your shows. Promote your shows.
Yeah, like, fans will go to that. There'll be buzz for it.
How will the people know about the show if you don't promote the show? Promote the show.
You gotta know about the show.
You gotta know every show. Not just the pay-per-views, like you're saying, all the shows. You got to tell them about all the shows. That's how you get the butts in the seats.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So build.
If I ever win the lottery, I'm just going to build a venue and charge super cheap so people can just run out of it.
It's funny you say that. People have seen on here my buddy Dave, who you'll see at the tapings. That's what he wants to do. Win the lottery, buy a piece of land, build a venue, and just be like, I'm booking shows.
Booking shows, exactly.
I'm booking shows. There's a guy in Florida that does that every week.
Will he allow death matches? Because that's always a big thing. Death matches. They can't find the venues because people don't want it.
Sadly, you know what you need to do for that? You need to jump over to your side of the river in Jersey. And that because you can't do proper death matches in PA. Restrictions. Same thing when New York.
Oh yeah, New York is like tubes. Not at all.
Can't really use tubes. Blood, very frowned upon. Like New Jersey's like pretty much let you do anything.
Yes.
Which can go too far. But
which goes too far 9 times out of 10. We have a couple of thingies here. Did we ever read those?
You know what? Since we jumped on late, I'm gonna look at early. Oh, Dr. Gerbs. I'm sorry, man. I think that happened before we went live. But Dr. Gerbs, thank you for the super sticker. Can't wait till Saturday. I'll be front row cheering on any of my Mad Cat brethren that happen to be there. Myers, Skylar, Josh Alexander, Jake Something, and Crazy Steve, and assisting if asked. #advocate. Awesome, Dr. Gerbs. And we'll be seeing you. We'll be seeing you Saturday. We'll be on the lookout for you. Definitely, I know we messaged earlier. Get in touch with me if we don't just stumble into each other. Although I just find me. And thank you just now to Ronan Blue for the super sticker. Hello, Alisha. I have a question for Bill. July 6th, we have a wrestling show in Arizona involving Hammerstone versus Suicide from TNA. I thought Suicide was gone. Yes, I get how they're promoting it. Suicide obviously is not active currently on the TNA roster and hasn't been for a while. But the last suicide, that was suicide for a while, was Caleb with a K, Caleb Conley. And Caleb Conley, I believe, on the indies is likely who you're seeing. Well, I'm not sorry for breaking the kayfabe, but he's likely suicide. But he's like on indie shows, that's the common thing to say where they are most known from. And obviously, TNA created Suicide for a video game, and then he became a wrestler in the X division. So, but he was obviously Daniels. Gresham was him once. I think actually Wentz was him.
Don't forget Ace Romero, bro.
Oh yeah, the AC baby. Hey, Swinger Side. My favorite is Swinger Side, but that is what it is. But so yeah, you're probably seeing Caleb as Suicide, but that's very cool. Hammerstone, and obviously he's an Arizona guy, but that's a cool show. I will be back in the arena, speaking of July 6th, for a doubleheader with Battleground Wrestling. There's a women's show in the afternoon, and then another show in the evening. So a doubleheader at the old arena. Looking forward to that. But one guy got taken off the card. And that is Too Cold Scorpio. Too Cold Scorpio has been
Tell me if you heard
this week.
Anything interesting about that guy?
Yeah, sounds like Too Cold, who was working, I guess this was St. Louis, as security somewhere. And once again, details, like he has a side of the story, but like that there was some type of self-defense with somebody, but then eventually it wound up in him pulling a knife and some stabby. That's
where it doesn't become self-defense anymore.
Yeah, like maybe if there was one type of thing, but it seems like multiple might be a little too far.
Yeah, the judicial system very much frowns against the or the
yeah, it seems like it might have been too much, but
or the old mace.
So he is no longer on said show, but yeah.
So it's a shame because he is highly popular with the independent wrestling crowds. That's like everybody's favorite wrestler is Too Cold Scorpio.
I have a Too Cold Scorpio shirt. I've always I'm an original ECW guy. So I've seen Too Cold forever. So I do I've always liked Too Cold. But yeah, hopefully that gets straightened out for his sake. Hopefully there's more to it. But yeah, not looking good. Not looking good right now.
That's right.
So let's move on to
the show that we're supposed to be reviewing.
to another video package. For our second Road to Slammiversary qualifier, and that is Nick Nemeth, the wanted man, against Rich Homie Swann, obviously with AJ Francis in his corner. What'd you think about this one for the main event?
Well, AJ Francis was only there until he got thrown out because he was being a rapscallion and causing lots of trouble for Mr. Nick Nemeth. I'm trying to say it like commentary style.
I believe the referee to throw him out. He may or may not be in the chat. You never know.
It was a good call on Mr. Spencer's part because that
one of the best
is some bullshit.
Business.
Yeah,
he really gets ramped up for it to go out of here.
He's like launching into space with it. It's like, yeah,
which is always entertaining.
It's got as much power as your Vard. Okay, so in regards to the match though, so if you put Rich Swann in a match with anybody, it's probably going to be a stellar match, and between him and Nick, it was great.
Two great
main event. Yeah, two really great workers, and they really put on a hell of a main event. Obviously Nick's got a lot of cannonball energy behind him right now, so of course he's going to be hard to defeat. But Good showing from Rich Swann.
The homie. That did well. But Nick comes out on top here. But once again, I think it's just like we talked about with Sami and Maclin, storylines. You had Moose versus Nick, obviously, as the big match at Rebellion. A lot of people thought he was going to take that title. He didn't. But now they're in the match again. So once again, you got a storyline already made like you do with Maclin and Josh. So for what could be considered a big schmaz main event where you have 6 people going at it, you got to have storylines within there. So at least that is happening. We're seeing that. Out of the so far 4 participants, there's storylines there with them. And then obviously you have Moose and Josh have a lot of history. So you see where they're going with it. So I like it. And once again, great main event, 2 great workers. So now we will see in Philadelphia, once again, if you're in the area tomorrow, Saturday, 2300 Arena, the former ECW Arena, TNA, the road to Slammiversary happening. Stop by. Not a bad seat. One of what I consider the best wrestling building in the business.
It's the best. It's my favorite venue.
To see a live show. So if you can make it, head on out. It'll be a great time. Say hello. TNI will be out and about, making our presence felt on Saturday.
East Coast crew ain't nothing to fuck with.
That's right. So no, overall, entertaining show. Flew by, which usually they do. That's why I'm always saying, well, maybe get a little bit more. But we're really coming into Slammiversary now. We're seeing matches announced. We're seeing stuff come together story-wise. So now, obviously, Philadelphia is going to kind of set up the rest of everything, and we'll kind of see how it all starts unfolding next week, next Thursday, here on TNI. But, Alisha, any final thoughts on the show?
No, it's a good show, and I'm excited to watch the tapings this weekend. Very fun.
Tapings! Love tapings. I go back and forth. Like, a live show's great because the crowd gets really pumped.
Right.
Like, they can feel it. A live crowd energy is definitely different than a tapings. But I like a lot about tapings. Like, I really do like tapings.
Philly's a good crowd to be at tapings for because they do get lively for wrestling. So
they do. It doesn't matter. Like, there are other markets where, and I think that's what they know, because you notice Philly almost never gets the live shows.
Yeah.
They always get tapings. Because I think they know the Northeast crowds are more open to doing that. Like, another market might be like, we'll come out for your live show. For TV, maybe. Or maybe. We'll give you not two. But in Philly, they'll give it all to you. So great to see. Hopefully they're back not long after that. Because that's, hey, my little card needs a break once in a while. So I appreciate those. But hopefully, I know we're seeing Dr. Gerbs. Hopefully, maybe we see a few more of you. Feel free to say hello. If you didn't, if you're catching this on the replay, if you want to comment on any of the match results or what you want to see for Slammiversary or anything else going on in TNA, let us know. Alisha, appreciate you being here. Bone Man, hope you enjoyed the night off.
See you next week.
We did you proud, and we'll definitely see you next week. Until then, let's see. You will have the obviously the UK guys went on yesterday. So you can check them back on the replay, and they'll be on the day before us next week. So if there's anything in the meantime, but we'll also, there's been no news with like the NXT partnership, but there are teases. I saw a few here in the chat, like Wes Lee in NXT is kind of making Rascalz references. So they have, I think, another one of their shows coming up in Canada pretty soon. So people are indicating maybe we'll see some more things. It does feel like it, and like some of the WWE accounts and USA TV are making a ton of Joe Hendry references still. Like, when will he show up again? It feels like that's just going to happen because they all know right now he's a gold mine for whoever. Like if he brings in, he's going to bring in ratings, views, clicks. Like I don't know how many million it's at now. That clip of him on NXT, but it's crazy. So they're obviously going to rush him back in to show up again. I'd imagine maybe as a build to help sell Slammiversary. Honestly, I could see that happening. So. But if there is major news, just like before, TNI will get on live and break that down if we need to. But if not, it'll be next Thursday. So, but Alisha, I'll see you Saturday. Some others I'll see Saturday. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday. So looking forward to it. Thanks everyone for joining us. For all of the people that are members. Hey, if you're not, look into it. You can join. Thanks again for the tips. And don't forget, hit the like button, ring the bell for notifications, follow us for all the times we go live. You'll get the notifications. And we'll see you next week. So have a good night. See you later, everybody. Bye.